if you're trying to learn a little bit more about content creation, you're trying to learn more about things you can do to really improve your business and things that you could potentially do to build your resume and get really in the job force. Today, I'm speaking with my boy Nigel, and we're going to go more in depth on these topics coming up. What is up, guys? I would like to welcome you back to Mad Talk. Mad Talk is showing how people are making a difference in their everyday world, regardless of if they're an entrepreneur, if they're in business, if they're a professional, or if they're a creator. Before we get into this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell with the notification, and also give this video a like because we're going to have a lot of great information, a lot of great stuff that we talk about here with you guys. Now, to really jump off and to really get started, we have my boy Nigel here. Nigel has experience in business advocacy. He has experience as a content creator, and he also has experience with helping people improve their resumes and helping them literally get out into the workforce, into the job force. So I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna give the wheel to my boy Nigel. Nigel, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about how you got to the place you are now?
For sure, for sure. I want to say what's up, everybody. Thank you to the whole Mad Talk show for having me on board. Again, my name is Nigel HAMMETT, aka the Resume Plug, where the canvas is never blank. We're dripping in opportunities. And just to give a quick intro of myself, I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I went to a HBCU, North Carolina A&T for college. Coming from a very interesting and diverse background. I've seen a lot of different things through my childhood. And that led me to creating my own resume business. You know, I was the same kid coming from a single parent household, not having a suit, to leaving college, going to work at my first job at Facebook and Instagram. So seeing what resume, content creation, and just overall getting yourself together can do in my life, it led me to help others. And we've been running it up ever since. We serviced over 500 individuals, helping minorities and women break into tech and advance into the workforce.
Awesome. Awesome, man. And you've done some incredible things, like even going to Nigel's website, which we're going to have in the description box below. Definitely look at all of the links that we're going to have there because you can find all of his information there as well. Looking at your website, to just really start off, just talking about the business side of things, one of the things that you were saying is that you had your first business be like a was it snow cone snowball business? Because I know snow cones. I know snow
Yeah.
cones are big in Baltimore. I know they're big in Baltimore.
Yep.
Like, and then there's a
Yep.
certain way you eat them. You put like
Yep.
marshmallows, everything like that. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? Do you feel like entrepreneurship was just in your blood? It was just in,
Yeah.
your mindset as a person.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna be honest. I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family. From my mother at the time, she had her own like planning business. My aunt, she did blinds. She would service, like window blinds to schools. And even my grandmother, just knowing her history. When she was my age, she actually cleaned houses, for her job, and that was the only thing that she could do outside of, she didn't want to work in the steel mills at the time. So she was an entrepreneur and a hustler in that aspect. So, me coming up at the age 10, 11, 12, I had my own snowball business, a snow cone, as we said, and be more, egg custard, cotton candy, all of that. But it wasn't, I mean, it was a few dollars in my pocket. We also had a fence painting business with like those silver line fences. We painted those fences. It wasn't about getting money, but, my grandmother was just trying to show me the concept of hard work, and you can create opportunities out of thin air. So definitely in my blood. I didn't wake up one day and it hit me. It's more natural, but I did have a good push around me, and I credit that to my family.
So, you crediting your success to your family. Let's talk about how important that is, like to have a great, I'm gonna say, like support system for you when you're
Yeah,
building your own business or when you're going to college, because I know there's a lot of first generation people who are going to college for the first time. There's some people who graduated high school and their parents have never even graduated high school or just dropped
yeah.
out. Like, how important was that to your growth as a person?
For sure. Like I said, it was very different. Like my family they wasn't the type to get mad about school. Like they was big, they, of course, encouraged me to go. My parents have college experience, but they were never school crazy. Like if I didn't get an A, it wasn't a big deal. But they were really, really hard on me in terms of confidence and my ability to be social. So like when I started my candy business in high school, like my aunt put up the first $100 for me. We went to BJ's and she bought the candy and I was selling it in school. So they would support stuff like that. Or my grandmother had the paint for us and we had the ice machine. So they were really big on that aspect, and it's huge. I mean, there was some layers of my life, honestly, I didn't have all the support in, but when it came to being a hustler and getting money, everybody was green light, thumbs up, and wanted to help. And it really did build that confidence for me at a young age, which helped out tremendously later on in business.
Do you think that there's a difference between being, like an hustler versus an entrepreneur, or do you think that they both basically coincide with each other?
Yeah, they're the exact same thing. And I'm sure you may have seen on my website, one of the phrases and the terms that kind of one of the brands that I operate under is digital trapper. And it's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of people in our community have heard the word trapper. But my thought process is that it's the same. I actually believe some of the people that I grew up with and have been exposed to at a younger age that may have took different routes and maybe illegal activities, they're just as good, if not better than me at selling business, that conviction, that confidence. I think it's the same thing. It's just two different lanes. The entrepreneur side is obviously somebody that has that structure, the legality behind it, and just understands the actual society a little bit better. But it's the same thing. Selling is selling.
Yeah, selling and selling. And to even touch upon that, like my father, he had his own fruit company, and I've talked about this in other videos, guys. He had his own produce company where he put produce on the back of a truck, and we used to just drive to different neighborhoods
I
knocking
love
on
that.
doors
I love
saying,
that.
yeah, that's what we used to do. And my dad used to bring in like a bunch of money when he was doing that because he was
Yeah.
helping and then some of the stores in these small towns were getting mad at him because they said that he was undercutting their profits. Yeah, they even tried to drive him out
That's
of the town once, man. Like I remember
oh
this
man, that's
whenever I was
crazy.
like 6 7 years old, bro.
It's
um
no different than anywhere else. You cut the price, people want to be upset.
mhm.
Thing is, when you in the streets, that's a different aspect. But in business, they can't bully you. They could try,
No,
but
see, and my dad, and the sad part is my dad was doing Amazon Fresh,
okay,
DoorDash type of
yeah.
stuff before everybody else was doing it.
He
And
was
this
ahead
was
of the
in the
curve.
90s. Yeah, this was in the
Okay,
90s when we did this. Um,
nice.
and I would say something that I learned, a valuable lesson that I learned from that I would never change for anything else, is learning that going out there and speaking to people, having that cadence, being able
Mhm.
to have that confidence when going to people. Because I used to knock on doors saying, hey, do you want to buy fresh fruit or vegetables? And just talking to older people, like I talked to all types of I was exposed to all different types of people growing up, and I think that it gave me, I want to say, a different experience than a lot of people who are more sheltered, have like more like their mom and dad maybe be at work a lot of times, stuff like that. So it really taught me a lot. And I would say like that taught me more than any business school that you can probably go to, bar
Sure, that
none.
real experience.
That real experience. So I would say, moving from that, I know that you have 4 years of like industry experience in entrepreneurship, marketing, and design. What would you say to the person who's like, hey, I have this business idea, I want to get it off the ground, I don't know where to
Yeah.
start. What what would be that first step that they should do?
Yeah, so one of the first things, one of the quotes I'll always say is, if you are able to do the job better than the average person, then you can get paid for it. A lot of people don't make that first step because they try to perfect it. So one, know that as long as it's slightly above average, it's okay to start charging and moving forward. Second thing is, utilize the people around you. If your family supports you, great. Have your family, you know, purchase your services or help them for free. Nobody knows how much you charge in the beginning. My resumes were like $5, $10 when I first started at my college campus. I woke up one day and I'm like, yo, you know what? Let's meet the supply with the demand. We got the career fair coming up. I'm better than the average. I start walking around the library. Yo, let me write the resume for you, put the word out, $5, $10. It's not about the money. It's the fact that you're doing it, people are getting results. And now you have a business, a pipeline, a story, and testimonial. So start small. If the family's not there, go to friends. If friends ain't there, go to classmates. If classmates ain't there, go to neighbors. It's always a circle. Like you said, you just gotta have that confidence to go ask and know that if it's better than average, somebody will pay for it.
Exactly, exactly. And not to well, we're switching gears to more talking about content creation now. Um, I think it's the same thing with content creation. I think that there's a lot of people that are afraid to really get started. They have a message that they can put out, they have experience that they can, relay to others that would help, but they're so afraid to jumpstart, to,
Right.
even get in there and just do that first step. It paralyzes them. And that's when you do things like imposter syndrome and
Mm.
you hear about that. Have you ever had a time where you had to conquer imposter syndrome yourself?
Definitely multiple times in my life. Um, from a beginning stage, you go from middle school to high school, you're nervous, like everybody's older. And my high school was like, it was one of them mixed schools where it was diverse, but it was a little rough. Like every time we'd be on the news for something. So I had to overcome like just being able to fit in into that environment. Then you go to college. So I feel like every stage is imposter syndrome, but you get more confident. And the most important thing is as you get older, you recognize those gifts. And then lastly, I faced it in corporate America. I came from an HBCU where I'm seeing all similar types of people around me. And then boom, I step back into the real world. And then you start self-sabotage and imposter syndrome. But then you realize you're like, yo, I'm actually good for this. I'm here for a reason. And I'm more than good for this. I have a lot of talent. And then you start executing and the rest is history.
Awesome, awesome. And and I think that yeah, it's you need that support sometimes. You need people to really like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, quantify you and just like, give you credibility and just say, hey, like you're doing what you need to do, but you're not going to get that from the start. I don't think anyone has got that from the start. Even people that went viral. Yeah, they went viral, but they had to continue to do it. It wasn't one of these things where they're a one-hit wonder and everything happens. They
Yeah.
have to continue to build upon that. But that being
Yeah.
said, really talking about your content creation, you've really centered your brand around just career development, success tips, really around, skill building. What would you say? How did you really get started in that space? Because I think a lot of times I know a lot of people who have career development skills, who understand, who've been
Yeah.
recruiters, who've been recruiting coordinators, things like that, and they might want to go out and make this content. Like, where did you start when you wanted to really start talking about like career development?
For sure. I feel like the easiest thing that you can do is document your journey. And so I wasn't trying to be anybody else. I wasn't trying to put up a facade. I was just showing people what I was doing. I started off with 0 followers, just like everybody else. And I
Mm.
walked them through my process, my journey. Like I said, I came to college, no suit, walked out, big time job offer from Instagram and Facebook. And so just walking people through that journey and just taking advantage of my youth, for all my students that are listening or young adults, just take advantage of that time. And even for my older folks, you got a different perspective as well. So for me, I also realized I had a niche. I'm gonna be honest, it's not a lot of people, I'm gonna be politically correct. There's not a lot of people that look like me that's speaking like this. And so I peeped that, and the lane is limited. So when the lane is small, that means you're gonna shine. And I mean, we have a lot of categories like that where not a lot of people are doing it. People are doing it, just not a lot. So I have my digital role models, my digital mentors. I seen what they was doing, and I put my own spin on it. And I don't say it was easy, but I tell people, especially for my fellas listening, because more women make content than men. I'm just gonna get practical here.
It's
That's
real.
the
It's
reality.
true. It's really
So,
true.
so, so, so I tell my fellas, look, man, put your ego and pride to the side, put your face in the camera or put your voice to the mic. If you can go hard and be consistent for 3 to 6 months, not even about the followers and et cetera, you're gonna feel more confident. You're gonna have a brand and you have a track record of all of these things and items that you've been able to speak on. So it's huge for my fellas and my ladies listening. Just try 3 6 months, look up and be in a good spot. And that's what I did and haven't looked back.
And something that you said that really resonated with me was the fact that you said people that look like you aren't
Yeah.
in this space. And it's the truth.
Yeah,
It's
nah,
true. People that look like
yeah.
us. No, no, no. Like, hey, like
Yeah,
the
I ain't
thing
gonna do
about
that,
Mad Talk, nah, the thing about Mad Talk, man, nah, the thing
yeah.
about Mad Talk is we're real here. We're
Okay,
gonna
okay,
speak real. We're gonna speak real here.
okay. Yeah,
Because especially when you deal with content creation, especially when you deal because I see a lot of YouTube channels talking about, oh, how to build your YouTube channel, how to get started on you, and every single one of them is either a white male, a white
right,
female, or maybe even an Asian woman. That's
right.
what I've seen. That's like the prominent ones are that, and you don't really see a lot of black faces, a lot of black people on those levels on speaking on that stuff. Like, why do you think that is? Do you think it's more of like is more of because we don't see a lot of examples of it, or is it like where do you think that might be coming from?
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna actually tip my hat off to the ladies. I think Black women are doing an amazing job. If I
Hmm.
do see Black people, it's usually a Black woman putting her face in the camera. They got fashion, boutique, lashes. They speaking. They got YouTube channels. Like Black women are doing that. My
Hmm.
issue and challenge has been more to the Black men, and the reason there is, and I have a hot take that content creation challenges their masculinity. They don't want to be on camera. They don't want to. He's laughing like hit a TikTok dance or speak or put their face in the camera, have a haircut, look good. And they kind of challenge their masculinity to a sense. So that's why I said you gotta kind of remove the ego and forget about who cares or who says what and just speak your truth. Because if you're better than average, people are gonna purchase, people are gonna rock with you. So that's the biggest reason why I say that. And I'm sure that's a hot take, but that's how I
Yeah.
feel, what I've seen.
And I've never really thought about it like that, man. And that's why all of this is incredible to me because I've never thought about, okay, so this is what's going on. This is the reason why it's like that. And to be honest, especially when you see a lot of stuff that's going, a lot of the content creation, a lot of the stuff that's going on there, I do see primarily more Black women talking about, oh, how to do
Mhm.
resumes, how to work from home, how to, do all these different things. So I honestly, I think that that's something that we really need to dive into, and we really need to be like, hey, like this is a problem, guys. We need to figure out what we're gonna do here. Um, but that being
Yep.
said, also like to talk more, like let's talk about Black in tech because yourself, you said you worked at Facebook, you worked at Google right out of college, right out of college, and you
Yep.
also do solution engineering. So,
Hmm.
for me, I want to know like how does it feel to be Black in tech?
Yeah,
What is your mindset whenever you was like, hey, I'm going after this Google job. I'm going after this Facebook job. Like,
for
what was
sure.
that like for you?
For sure. So let's take it back from the top.
Hmm.
So for me, it really comes down to exposure. Because I'm gonna be honest, when I first came to college, I never would have thought that wasn't in my mind working at Instagram, Google, Facebook. What happened was through me being confident, through me speaking up, I started going on conferences. When I started going on conferences, I'm traveling, going to places I've never been. My first time coming to like the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, boom, it hit me. And so a lot of times people don't achieve to that maximum potential, not because they're not good enough, but because they haven't been exposed to it. And if they've been exposed to it, the challenge is, are you going to step up to the plate? Because you've seen it and now there's no excuse. All right. So the first step is getting exposed. And maybe if you can't take the flight, you can listen to a podcast like this. You can watch a YouTube, you can get on LinkedIn. That's why it's important to have a healthy social media to be able to see. You just need to see. And then secondly, once you see it, you can't be afraid. You got to go after it. So after being exposed and seeing individuals that was doing it, I came back my last year of college. I put it on my big board. I said, yo, I'm working at Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Microsoft. One of them joints going to drop. And not just that, I put together a plan. I developed contacts. I put in 6 months of relationship building. I worked on my interview skills. And then when it was time to strike, I was ready. And then everything fell through.
Awesome, awesome. And for again, I love seeing black people in these roles. I love seeing black people in tech, being engineers, being, software developers, because I feel like with the media, a lot of times what's more exposed and what's more promoted is that black people are musicians,
Right.
actors, like
Definitely.
you know what I mean,
Started on that.
or
Yeah.
drug dealers or something like that. We don't
Yeah.
really see a lot of people in the business professional realm. We don't really see a lot of black influencers there. And that, to me, I
No.
think if there's any black person watching this who wants to be a content creator, who wants to be an influencer, I think that that's the perfect spot. That's like, I want to say, a niche for you that is
Mhm.
untapped. Is getting
Mhm.
in there and really talking about that, because we need more examples like that, man. We need more of that in our community, in our world. But that being said, like, what would you say to a college graduate, a college senior right now, hasn't, I know you did a lot of prep work. Let's say this is their last semester
Easy.
and they're graduating out of university, and they're looking for, okay, I'm looking for my first job. I really want to get out there. I really want to, do something great. I want to work for a Facebook. I want to work for a Google or a Microsoft. That's my dream. What
Yeah.
would you say if you had to give them, I want to say, 3 steps to do
I
right
got
now?
you.
What would that look like?
For sure. So before I give my 3 steps, this is going to be a lot easier for a few types of people. This is going to be a lot easier if you already have internship experience. This is going to be a lot easier if you've been building a personal brand. And it's going to be a lot easier if you're willing to put your pride to the side and make this thing happen. Because what we don't want is to get to the graduation, we're celebrating family, woo, and this happens. It's a reality. If it happens to you or you're in this position, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, but it's not the best feeling to kind of not have the next phase figured out. So if you're listening to this now and you're about to enter your last year, or maybe you're in that spot but you still don't know what's going on, I want you to do a few things. Step number one is I want you to sit down and legitimately think about your life. And I want you to write out some of the companies that you want to work with slash for. Right. The first step is you got to know the companies, all right, in the roles. That's the most important step. You'd be surprised, like, nah, that sounds easy. You ask somebody, a college student, hey, what top companies do you want to work for? And the first thing they say is or ah. They don't have a list. It is not ready. Ask
It's true.
somebody,
It's
try it out,
true.
right? So
It's true.
that's step one, okay? Step number two, and this is the most important thing. You are going to need to make sure that your resume, LinkedIn, and personal brand is polished. It's gonna put it's I'm not saying these things as if they're easy, they're gonna take a few days, right? But it's best to take a few days now so you're not waiting on the sideline a few months or a year later. All right. So resume needs to be top notch. You can go to your career services. Well, I drop myself later. I got templates. There's templates all over online. There's YouTube. There's no reason why it shouldn't be at least average. Right. So
Mhm.
once you got all of those things laid out, step number three is going to be the hardest, but the most fun step. Number three is the strategy and the outreach. You need to put together a 4 to 6 month plan for you to be reaching out to at least 2 to 5 individuals every single week. These people are going to be recruiters, hiring managers, and individuals that work the job that you want to work at. They're going to help to tell you whether you're a great fit, what you're missing. All right. And for my all-star players out there, to recap again, you're going to lay in the company and the roles. You're going to tighten up the resume, LinkedIn, and your brand. And then three, you're going to be reaching out to 2 to 5 individuals every single week on LinkedIn. And for my all-star players, you're going to be working while you wait. You can get a certification. You can launch your own business or start a side project. You don't want to do that? Help a friend with the business and a side project. You can pad your own stats without even having to get in the official game. That's what the All Stars are doing. They're documenting their experiences. They're posting, doing steps 1, 2, and 3, and something will land your way, probably even bigger than what you imagine.
And what's good about what you were saying, especially at the end, is about, helping, either starting your own business, starting your own side hustle, helping with a startup, something along those lines. You get a lot of these people, and I've seen it from college students, I've seen it from college graduates. You get a lot of these people who do not want to work for free when they are still gaining their skills and still gaining an understanding. What is your take on working for free?
I think that it's a smart idea when you're working with the right person. right? So you definitely, if I'm working with the millionaire, it's not about money, it's about the knowledge. If I know that I want to be a software developer and I have zero internship experience, if I can afford it, I'm gonna go back to my mom's house and go knock on 50 doors and say, hey, I'm willing to learn and work for minimum wage for free to get something on resume compared to going to Chick-fil-A. See, the thing is, Chick-fil-A may help you be able to get lunch and some food money and some sneakers, but it's not gonna help you get into this top level internship or this top level career. So working for free is a phenomenal idea because it removes money out of the equation, which then evens the playing field. Right now, you have zero leverage. So if you remove money and just for a quick 2 to 4 to 5 months, nothing long, and you can maybe still work a side job, warehouse jobs are good to get on your feet, whatever you got to do and do both, whether it's online or in person. So we want to work while we wait. The problem is a lot of us are waiting or not working.
Hmm. And to even go into that, like I've seen so many people who they'd rather sit here and complain than find a solution for their problem. Even
Right.
though I think a lot of times too, a lot of people know that solution to
Mm-hmm.
fix the problem. It's just that we don't want to really do the work and we want to find a shortcut
Yeah.
on fixing that problem. Because
Always.
if your startup isn't working, you know what to do to fix the problem. Just look at, like, talk to the market, talk to people, ask people, what do you think about my business idea? What do you think about my prices? How can I really get myself out there, especially when you're providing a service? One great thing you were saying at the beginning of this interview was talking about how you were charging $5 to $10 for resumes. I guarantee you're not charging still $5 to $10 for
No, sir.
resumes,
No,
but
sir.
it was the experience that made it so good. Because if you provided at $5 to $10 great customer experience, great service and a good product, even at $5 to $10, you're gonna get those referrals. You're gonna get those people saying, hey, go check out this guy, go check out my man Nigel, because he's the resume plug. He's the one that can get you straight up. He can get you straight when it comes down to getting a job and doing everything else that you want to do. I think that a lot of people, like, they see what they know they need to do, but we don't want to do it. And I've been there. And so if I'm calling people, I'm calling my own damn self out here, where I've
Yeah.
been there. I know what I need to do and I haven't done those things. So it's all about getting that shift of mindset and understanding that, it's gonna take a little bit of time to really build what you're trying to do. Um, but I have two more questions for you before we get to our 2 minute pitch segment. One of the first ones is that I want to talk about LinkedIn. You're very prominent on LinkedIn. You've built a great brand on LinkedIn in itself. Why is LinkedIn so important and why are people sleeping on it still to this day?
For sure. So I'll give you a few reasons. Number one, LinkedIn is very important. I'm gonna be honest, because that's where the money is. So whether you're somebody that's looking to hire, right? You got candidates there, and most people are looking to get a job or a better job. You want to spend as much time as you do on Instagram, on LinkedIn. It's where you're literally going to be able to get a life-changing experience. You guys check out my social media, see some of the trips, some of the individuals that I hang out with, on a week-to-week, a monthly, yearly basis. A lot of those crazy celebrity opportunities have came through LinkedIn. I may meet somebody's manager, somebody's executive, somebody's agent. That's where the money is. Number two, it's less competitive. All right, check this out. Think about the owner of, Ethereum, talking about crypto, or the owner of Mercedes Benz. They may have a Instagram. I guarantee you their Instagram DMs might be in the thousands, where their LinkedIn's might be in the hundreds. I've had CEOs from Dubai I've been able to interact with on LinkedIn, but they would never hit me back on Instagram. It's less competitive. So if you're someone that's outreaching, trying to get your brand out or looking to connect with more people, if for high profile people, they're more likely to respond on LinkedIn. And then number three is the reach. I'll give you an example. I got into Google, I posted it on my LinkedIn, and I posted it on my Instagram. On Instagram, it went crazy, 3,000 likes, page blicking. But I checked the math, it did about 10,000 accounts. That's okay, 10,000 accounts. But LinkedIn, number one, it went for 10,000 likes, which is 3 times the amount, but it went to 500,000 accounts. So the reach multiplier is through the roof. The organic content capability on LinkedIn is through the roof. So if you're not on LinkedIn, that's definitely one of my favorite places. I built my biggest brand on LinkedIn, man. We still pushing, and I'll plug myself later, but now LinkedIn is the plug for sure.
It definitely is, and I would say even for myself because uh I've had like maybe 10,000 views on a post or something like that. Well, I only had like 200 followers on
Right.
there. You know what I mean? And that to me is incredible in itself. So, guys, if you have a business, if you have a service, if you're making video content talking about what it is that you're doing, you, LinkedIn is the place to go. I know a lot of people laughed at Gary Vee because Gary Vee said it a bunch of times talking about, hey, LinkedIn is the place to go. It is. There's great real estate on LinkedIn. And I would say the last question I do before we get to our 2 minute pitch segment, let's say that we had an individual who lost their job, for instance, or was
Yeah,
laid off. What would you say is like, what should they be doing now? Like
for
they've
sure.
laid off, their company is doing that. They like killed most of the team that they were working with. What should they do now?
For sure. So I like to give very practical advice, and I don't like to state the obvious. One thing that I will be doing immediately is taking advantage of the fact that you were laid off. You need to go on LinkedIn like right now and make a story about that. Hey, I want to
Mm-hmm.
announce that I've been a part of the layoffs, put it as a hashtag. My company currently let go of all the team. I'm qualified in XYZ, and I'm looking forward to the next opportunity. All right. If you have a decent LinkedIn profile, or feel free to message me, a message, bro. We can shout you out. You're gonna get at least five to 10 recruiters gonna go ahead because people love sympathy. Like they love a sad story. So I've been seeing. I was thinking about like because I was on this. I took a gap year and I seen everybody was getting laid off, and it's tragic to see the layoffs. But I seen 20, 50 recruiters under the comments like, hit me up. I got the job. I got the job. So I'm about to hit them up. I'm coming off a gap year. You feel me? So
Mm-hmm.
that's unpopular. Of course, the same rules apply for my college students that I would tell them, make the list of companies, make the list of roles, beef up resume, LinkedIn brand, start reaching out, getting on the phone with 2 to 5 people a week. But you do that with making content around the fact that you were laid off, they're going to eat it up, man. You're going to have so many interviews and it's funny.
Yeah, yeah, and I was like, one thing that I noticed too is that you need to be able to have different forms of your resume whenever you're applying to jobs. I think that's probably a killer too that happens to a lot of people is that they just take the same resume and they use it for every single position. So just like changing up the keywords, changing up that, making sure your header is the way that it needs to be. You can definitely find more opportunities and new opportunities from there. But that being said, I want to get to one of my favorite parts of these Mad Talk interviews, and that's our 2 minute pitch segment. That's where I put 2 minutes on the timer. I give the interviewee time to just pitch whatever they're working on currently to our audience. And, let's see if they can really pitch everything that they're doing because sometimes you catch them and it's interesting. But I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. 1 second, guys. All right. 2 minutes on the clock, starting now.
Perfect. Want to welcome you guys again to the Resume Plug. Shout out to this podcast for having us here. Again, my name is Nigel HAMMETT, aka the Resume Plug. Just want to ask you guys this. Are you or anybody that you know in a position where you're looking to upgrade, advance, or move forward in your career? At the Resume Plug, we have experience with over 500 individuals specializing in minorities, women, people from all over, aunties, uncles, doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers, the whole nine, helping them advance their career. What makes us different than the average resume writing company is that number one, the founder and owner has actually real experience. He's been able to get 6-figure plus jobs and not only do it for himself, but do it for hundreds of other individuals as well. Through this experience, we have our resume package, currently right now only for $2.99, and may go down or up depending on when you hear this video. And this is going to be able to get you a one-page, head-turning, interview-getting, dynamic resume. We're going to include hyperlinks, a transformative dialogue, going to get it in a succinct style. That way it's going to catch the attention of any recruiter and help you feel more confident along your journey in terms of getting these interviews and jobs. The Resume Plug is a family business, which you get lifetime service. Every package comes with a 1 to 2 hour consultation. It costs you $300 to potentially help you get 30, 40, 50, in some cases, 60K more every single year. So the question that I'll leave you with is this: are you willing to invest in yourself to help you not only improve your career, improve your confidence, be able to add monetarily and financially to your future family through your own career? Let's work with us at the Resume Plug. Excited to see you guys soon.
Wow, man, you got like 10 seconds left. You did it. You did it, boy. All right, cool. So, uh, that being said, I loved speaking with you today, Nigel. Guys, definitely follow him on all his social media links. That's going to be in the description box. Definitely connect with him on LinkedIn, man, because that's where I connected with him. And I've gotten so much value from the content that he produces that is not even funny. It will help you, especially if you were laid off, especially if you're still in the job market and you're looking to get that dream position, work for that dream company, and just live the life that you've always wanted to live. But before we go, I want to do a question of the day, and I'm going to kick that off to Nigel because we always let our guests do the question of the day. What would you say your question of the day is for our audience that they can answer in the comment section?
The question of the day for the audience that I have for everybody is: what is the one thing that comes easy to you and more difficult to everybody else? And whatever that is, chase that passion, develop the gift, and move forward with your dreams.
Awesome. Awesome. So, guys, answer that question in the comment section below, and we'll definitely be looking out for your responses and we'll be connecting with you. But that being said, I would like to thank you again, Nigel, for joining us today. I would like to thank you all for watching, and we will catch you in the next episode of Mad Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share on all your social medias, especially if you got value from this video. Have a great one. Peace.